Winston and the Ana. Very nice for getting an early fight in, because the Nano Boost charges really fast, Primal Rage charges really fast. And then by that stage, EMP is probably up for the second fight, and you kind of can cycle through that way. Legacy have gone again for something different.
Yes.
How many different compositions we have seen from them today, I'm not prepared to count. Can't count past what's on my hands. So it's kind of getting to that point.
Take your shoes off, Jordan. Use your toes, mate. You can get there. Rani did pretty well. Actually has, to be fair, been having a pretty good match. We go out on a limb and suggest. Let's see how we go once again here on Farah. Order, as you can see, forced back. They've got the high ground and sitting below the bridge as well. There's 1/3 given up already now to Legacy. Noosh does get slapped there by Jordation. Followed up by Unter with the pick.
Well, I don't think you can be too disappointed with that as Legacy. You're just getting a tick out of that. Obviously, Noosh, a little bit unfortunate for him to get picked off, but you still get something out of that one as Legacy, and it makes the job easier now in the second, third pushes. A few ultimates being built up here by Legacy as well. The minefield is going to be useful.
Rani still going strong, getting ticks across there on to the barrage, almost available. Sign going to get hacked out there by Noosh. There we go. Jordation coming out onto Quats there as well, who does manage to find Fundre with the Nano Boost. And it will be enough to win them another fight. So, look, even... Oh! Sign goes down there to Ike. Not a bad pick at all. Can they get back?
Yes, Legacy's going to try and push off the back of this. They've got the Rocket Barrage on Rani. If those guys all stay under the bridge, it's going to be a really big problem. Adam's trying to really tag him, make sure that Rani can't get that Rocket Barrage off, but Ike is the one doing the work.
Going absolutely huge here on the Tracer, and now 4.5 minutes on the clock as we move into Phase 2 of Numbani, and well, not a bad start at all for Legacy. They played that quite smartly as well. Even every time they lost a player, they'd fall back just a little bit, but they still were managing to, just get a little bit of ultimate charge over and over.
Yeah, Rani just bumping his head on the roof. Look how high up he is. It's a good start for Legacy. They've been able to push forward as well into Phase B and kind of harass Order on their way back in. Although this may be where it turns around with the EMP to put the Flyers on the ground.
Yeah, well, Rani will go down. You can see that Lab's going to come out with the Coalescence as well. Probably not required in this particular situation, but hey, look, between an EMP and a Primal Rage, you'll probably go, not so bad. We're probably willing to take that.
Well, the unfortunate thing about that composition for Legacy is it means that their two supports don't really have much defense.
Well, we're swapping anyway.
We're swapping up, though. So it's going to be standard 3-3 up against Order with the Sombra Goats.
Quats will get naded. No heals for now, but does manage to work his way through. Legacy, however, the team taking a little bit more damage. We follow out Ike, trying to get a little bit more charge as well. There we go. That's going to work as Lab does get hacked. Signed quite low,
That's
as
nice
is Rani.
And a very...
There
oh my god,
go.
he just got stun locked.
Both the main tanks now down for both teams.
It's favourable for Legacy. 1-for-1 picks here.
What they want to see. They want to get back onto the payload. They'll do as much. Adam coming through self-destruct. Along with that EMP from Sign, we'll find Ike and Rani. They're going to have to slow it back down. They managed, to be fair, Order here to use up a good 90 seconds or so. That's what they need to do.
I mean, now that we're in the 3-3 matchup, that's where Order's like all of a sudden just looking so much more comfortable, so much more solid.
Yeah. That's the concern, right? As soon as you're onto the payload phase of the map, as soon as you need to attack in this particular scenario, Legacy is most definitely struggling to find their feet.
Well, I don't think you even necessarily need to be running 3-3 here as Legacy. There's a lot of ability to run DPS compositions, given how sort of open this area of the map is, but try and make it work. Primal Rage is going to be a massive problem. Look at that.
Yeah.
Jeez, Quats. He's always able to do it with the Primal Rage, isn't he?
Easy, I think. Look at that. Nice little almost clean sweep there for Order. And now back under that 2-minute mark here. You can see that Legacy Esports has not got the payload very far at all.
That's not fun either.
Oh dear, the stagger.
Yeah, they haven't got the payload really past the bridge. And EMP's up again, so this next fight is probably going to be a lost one for Legacy too.
Legacy needs to ask themselves, can we hold Objective A on defense? Or do we actually want to try and win this game? Order now with 4 ultimates to work with, and that's not a bad EMP at all coming out there from Sign. Does not get stolen Picnic, however, who's managed to drop the beat and keep the team alive. Grab with the self-destruct over the top. Unfortunately for Noosh, will not find any picks. Rani going to use an ultimate, as has Anta. Adam getting ever closer as well to another self-destruct, but it's Jordation who goes down first. Yuki going to get found out. Also, Legacy now will be able to get a little bit of momentum going here. Oh, Adam caught out also. But Order have done such a good job of holding this payload where it is that they're going to be able to get another couple of fights, to be perfectly honest.
It's going to be an overtime capture if Legacy do actually get point B. I mean, this is obviously a nice turnaround for Legacy, but have they left it a bit too late? I have to imagine that they have. If Sign is able to build this EMP in the next fight, they're not going to cap point B. Bots and Adam can provide so much space as well with the Primal Rage and the self-destruct.
That's what they'll do. Lab will get caught out there by Adam. That Primal Rage from Quats looking to find perhaps just one more. Sign so very low as well. It's a 1-for-1. Fundray does manage to clean up that Sombra in the end, but not before Ike does go down. Fundray needs to stay alive, needs to hit perhaps a big Earth Shatter, but will not happen. Adam comes through. An Order will stop the payload here. 79.88 meters into the streaks phase of Numbani, and not a great job at all here from Legacy Esports, to be perfectly honest. No,
it doesn't really fill you with a whole lot of confidence, does it? That's a much better defense from Order. And I think that might be a bit of an insight for Legacy as to what they actually need to be doing to win this series. And I don't think that the 3-3 matchup is how they're going to win this series, Ben. It's pretty obvious that when we got onto Numbani Phase B, Order just absolutely wrecked them.
Yeah.
So maybe Numbani's a write-off. I mean, it looks like it's a write-off. 2-1 probably for Order. So let's go on Havana.
Defense.
Let's look at things like the bunker. Let's look at things like the Doomfist, May, Sombra, that sort of stuff. Just throw the spanner in the works, because Legacy, they have been putting Order a little bit off kilter when they've been running these kinds of compositions. But once Order's back on something that they're comfortable with, that matchup they're comfortable with, really didn't look close.
I would much rather lose the Streets phase of Numbani playing something a little bit different that we're trying to make work than butting heads over and over again with the same GOATS comp that's clearly losing to a team who was far superior at that type of game.
Well, here we go. We do have another bunker set up for Legacy.
Oh, yeah. It's good. This is what we want to see, Jordan.
Yeah, but Order have sort of thought about this, and they've assumed the worst, and we've got Jordation there onto Hanzo, so I'm not sure that's going to last for too long. We'll see. Yuki's on Roadhog. I mean, for Order,
we saw this work before, right, though? The Adam and Jordation were essentially the win conditions on point A of Temple. You know, throw out the Dragon Strike, follow it up with a self-destruct, and you made your way through, and you start off with enough time to get up to that point, right?
Yeah, Anta obviously moving over onto Mercy does provide a little bit more healing for obviously the single targets, and does make it a bit easier for him to sort of jump around rather than the Lucio. So that's a better choice for Order. They're going to try and burst through that shield with the Hanzo, with the Roadhog right clicks. A hack here or there from Sign is really going to be a big problem for Legacy that they need to be aware of. It's again that same setup for Legacy that worked, I would say, reasonably well on Temple of Anubis, but somehow Fundra's gone down early, so not good.
Rani doing a great job here of holding down left click. You'll see Jordation forcing his way out just to try and break down this shield. See whether someone can get onto the point. It's Signed right now down on the low ground, but Quats going to get caught out there as well.
Well, the beauty of this composition for Legacy is, I mean, unless Rani dies, I'm not sure what happened to the Immortality field. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was on cooldown rather for Stolen. There's obviously no mercy here, so once Rani's dead, he's dead. It's going to take a long time for them to reset things. Oh, that's huge. Come on, Fundray. You got to chase him. Fundray does get the tag. Revive coming across, though, Ben. So I get too far ahead of ourselves just yet.
That was exciting. Lab coming out with the plays, but of course, Hunter there to clean it up. And This is the position, of course, now that Order want to find themselves in.
Well, where's the Bastion?
Oh!
Dead.
EMP will come through. Ike actually the one to get caught out there by the Dragon Strike. Rani's gone down also. Fundre hacked up as he goes to a Primal Rage. Nano boosted as well there by Lab.
There's nothing that Fundre can do there. He's just getting absolutely slammed by all the CC, all the crowd control that Order has.
Yep.
They're on the point now as well. Noosh will drop the bongos. For all the good it's going to do, well, Rani comes back in, gets Adamant Sign, does fall himself, but he might have salvaged this situation for Legacy. Somehow, the Doomfist has worked better than the Bastion. And this might be the new setup for Legacy, because I don't think you're going to be able to go back and set up the Bastion, or if you do, I'm not as confident in that, to be honest, as the Doomfist here.
Yeah, well, Rani, to be fair, has had a pretty good match so far on the Doomfist, and we'll see whether it's the same here. You see, this is how they managed to pick them up the first time around. Jordacian peeks out there.
The early fight, the very first fight, Fundre going down, that's not what you want to see, but they're still holding well. And Rani is going to persist with the Doomfist. I kind of don't mind that. I think it makes it more difficult for Sign to get a good EMP off here. Rani's going to be jumping around, causing problems for the tank line for Order.
And of course, only one healer, Jordan, is the real kicker as well. Rani going down to Adam, and a nice EMP across the board over Legacy might be enough for Order to push their way through. You're going to get picked up there by Unta. The Mongos dropped by Noosh. That Supercharger making life pretty easy. Stolen, Picnic, the last one on the point. The rest of the team going to get cleaned up here by the D.Va.
Well, it's pretty important now for Legacy to buy as much time as they possibly can. Rani's going to get back on as the Tracer. Then comes Fundre. Just doesn't quite get that Primal Rage up. He was almost there. He died as it turned over onto that tick. So that's really unfortunate for Legacy. Could have bought them another probably 10-15 seconds, maybe the full 30 seconds. Now they have the difficult job, though, of holding Phase B of the map, and we've seen where Order can really excel on that. So does Legacy change their composition here? They're going to continue going with what they've got right now. I don't know that you're going to get the Batiste still. I do think that it's a good idea for Legacy to keep the Sombra and the Doomfist.
Yeah. Well, the Primal Rage going to come out from Fundre, who needs to find some value. Has been hacked, however, by Sign, but Quats will go down. They'll take that, to be perfectly honest. The team now slowed down Sign, having to translocate out. But no, Noosh does manage to get the stagger there onto the Sombra. And I just hope that Legacy sits on this team comp, or at least something very similar. We do not want to see them lose with a 3-3.
Well, Stolen is persisting with the Batiste. It's, I mean, it's been working okay so far. Good EMP out from Mike.
Yeah, finds a couple that will secure a fight victory, and now Legacy Esports going to need to rotate through their ultis very, very smartly here. Make the most of absolutely everything.
Ultis? That's the real question.
That's your real problem,
Noosh
right?
has only got, I mean, he's almost got the self-destruct. That's the only ultimate, really, that Legacy can 100% count on in this fight. Again, you probably get Rani and Fundre up there as well for this one, but that is assuming they don't get picked off early in the fight.
Yeah.
It's very interesting the way that Legacy have set this one up, in that Stolen is the one that's kind of isolated as opposed to Lab.
EMP available and is used. Hits 4, including Noosh, who cannot use that self-destruct. Signed, however, does go down immediately. And Order unable to follow it up with any sort of real damage. Now Fundre going to be able to get to this Primal Rage unhindered. Nano Boost available there by Lab, going to be used onto that Primal Raging Fundre, or perhaps just a little bit before. Grab comes through, but I feel like that's a grab wasted, perhaps? No, they seem to make the most of it, and Anta with the beat as well will get the payload moving. Let's remember they do not need to get far at all.
Very nice immortality field for Stolen to keep them alive through the Graviton Surge, but is it going to be enough to win this map? We need to see this final investment from Legacy. EMP from Ike, but they've lost a couple of players very quickly. I don't like the way this is looking.
Yeah, not going to happen. Noosh onto the point. You'll see Rani come down as well with the Meteor Strike, and Stolen Picnic going to get knocked off there like an ant crawling on your shirt. And Order comes through with the victory. Some parts of that for Order looked great, others not so good. Clearly, I think we can all agree that the bit that really stood out was the streets phase for Legacy on attack, where they essentially went head-to-head the team comp that didn't seem to work up against Order.
Yeah, look, I mean, if they got through to Phase C, if they didn't quite cap out, but if they got at least maybe round one or two of the corners, given how much time Order had left to cap point B, there may have definitely been a situation where Legacy could have won. But yeah, definitely things fell apart for Legacy on the attack through Phase B of the map. Their defense on Phase B seemed to look pretty solid, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared. So
yeah,
like one player gets picked off, Order's able to capitalize on that really, really well, and Legacy fall apart, which is not really something we've seen Legacy be able to do quite as easily. Definitely they have been able to do it, but they haven't done it to the consistency that Order have. Although I will say I feel like they're kind of more consistently being able to find those picks. They're just not being able to find the solid team fight wins that Order are. So we're at 2-1 for Order. I mean, it's still within the grasp of Legacy. But what I don't want to see for Legacy is what we got last season where, you know, we had this same thing up against Blank. The series was really close. We got to 2-2. We got to overtime. And then they kind of just got smacked on Control. So
when we get back to Control over and over, yeah. We saw a little bit of that last season as well. Honestly, I thought maybe when Rani had swapped across to the Doomfist, that could be it, you know, an opportunity to sort of make Hunter's life a little bit more difficult, being the solo healer coming through there on Mercy, but it was not to be, and I think, I don't know, I wish they had just swapped off on attack, just to something.
Well, not swapped off.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because they had such a good
I'll take either.
Attempt. I don't know that the Farah Mercy would have continued to work through into the Streets phase. We've seen that attempted a few times in the past, and I don't really kind of back it quite as much. But, you know, again, I'm really liking this sort of Sombra Doomfist composition that Legacy are running. The Doomfist may... I'm going to need to see a little bit more of that before I'm kind of quite sold on it. But, look, even for Legacy, I mean, this is an achievement being able to take a map off of Order. That's kind of mission successful for this series. If they avoided the 4-0, I was going to consider this a good series for Legacy. They've already done that, so anything more that they're going to be able to get from here on out is a bonus. Move on to Havana next, which is a map that we haven't seen at all in AU Contenders. This is literally going to be the first time we see it. And for Legacy, I mean, that could mean that there's a great possibility that they throw something interesting in here, something that Order hasn't seen before or they're not prepared for, and all of a sudden we find ourselves at a 2-2 into an overtime. And in that case, Legacy have really been able to pick up a couple of maps off of the reigning champions and continued to make Order's season a big struggle.
It has definitely been a struggle for Order so far. Look, if we get to the end of the season and they bring it all back and today was just a 3-1, you know, you'll probably look back on that and remember not much of it, to be honest.
Yeah,
say, hey,
it'll just be another one of those.
Another 3-1 where Legacy got a map, etc., etc., and maybe people won't remember the day that was here for Legacy Esports. I could be wrong, but you know, sometimes it feels like that's you forget how you get there, right? It's just the result at the end. But we'll now come down to Havana. Can Legacy Esports pick this one up and take us through to the tiebreaker, or will Order come out 3-1 on top? Of course, the first time we have seen Havana here in Overwatch Contenders Australia. I hope for their sake they've at least played it. I know when I first played it, I ran all the way down on the defensive side as Orisa and didn't realize where the attacker spawn was. So that was embarrassing. So I don't think we'll see that happen here.
Well, I certainly hope not. I wonder if this is the team comp that we're going to get out from Legacy, because it's, well, I mean, it's very weird, right? You kind of got the best of both worlds, or maybe the worst of both worlds. I mean, typically with an Orisa Hog you would be looking for, as opposed to the Reinhardt Hog, and then you've got Noosh here on the Mei, Labs on Moira. So, as we find out how it's going to work here for Legacy.
See how this plays out. I'm ready for the big Legacy plays with a team comp I don't think we have seen from them as yet.
Nope, it's just another one.
They're doing exactly what I did, Jordan. They're holding nice and close, except without the Orisa. They've got the Reinhardt here instead.
Well, obviously Reinhardt does add a little bit more mobility for the composition as opposed to the Orisa, which means you're pretty static. So they're able to dance around a little more. Got to use these Mei walls well. Almost connects on the hook there onto Sign, but Fundray down early does mean that probably time now for Legacy to just start backing away.
Yep, they'll have to fall back, but they're fighting this one out, choosing to I guess, die on the payload, Elfishguy.
Yeah, I mean, you may look at this as something similar to Rialto, where you don't typically defend right at the spawn doors, but you can take it as an option, and then you get wiped, and then you really kind of set up your proper defense, because the payload doesn't have time to get, you know, past where you initially want to hold, which I think is kind of what Legacy is kind of hoping for here.
Yeah, they managed to use a minute 10, so not bad at all. They'll get back, as you said, almost to where you'd hold the first time around here, so see what they can do. Signed. Going to be fighting with Stolen. Picnic for the high ground. Adam already up to 95% on his ulti as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade. EMP will come through from Signed, and that should see Legacy getting wiped out here. The payload will get ever closer to checkpoint A.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to defend this one, surely, as Legacy. I suppose they could recontest, but Signed is being a bit of a pain. Just don't think Legacy's going to be able to get out there in time.
They're going to try. Oh! The grab going to try and knock them through. It only hits Fundre in the end as he tries to get through. More time wasted on the clock. Stolen Picnic, the first one down. We'll see what Legacy can do. They managed to get onto the point. The Shatter, that's a great Shatter! Hits 2 or 3. Quats is down as well. The beat drop now by Anta. Ryan is going to get caught out there by Adam, but the coalescence from Lab should surely be able to seal the deal.
Oh, some good heals coming out from Order. Does keep both Yuki and Adam alive, despite them getting low. Looks like we've got a Boostio on the field, so not sure what's going on there. Am I going crazy? I think so. Wasn't even an Ana for Legacy. But regardless, the point is going to go the way of Order.
They do it. They get their way through. They do so with 3 ultimates still available for them. Legacy, on the other hand, threw everything into that defense, Jordan, and now, because of this, Order have managed to find themselves the high ground here, heading through the warehouse as well.
This is where the Mei is going to start to come into her own once again. No EMP available for Order either, but then again, nothing really for Legacy here to play with. This is a straightforward one. The Graviton Surge goes through from Order, connects quite a few members, and there's really nothing you can do without Transcendence, without Sound Barrier. You just die. Yeah. I mean, Blizzard as well can kind of help against the Graviton Surge. If that gets thrown down, it's a little bit more difficult for Order to get in position to put damage down. But Legacy didn't have that either, so that was a bit of a nothing fight for Legacy. But this is where we're going to see the real hold, assuming they actually get a fight off here. This is maybe where Order finally gets stalled up. If not, big problems for Legacy then.
Yeah, this second phase has been pretty good so far for Order. Noosh drops the Blizzard onto the payload, forcing everyone back and allowing Legacy an opportunity to fight on top of the payload itself. Lab going to go down to his counterpart. The same with Ike, and this fight going pretty well right now for Order. Legacy Esports probably going to need to fall back. Noosh, the last one, as it turns into an icicle. The payload hits objective B.
It's not looking good for Legacy at all, is it?
No. At least they're doing what we wanted. They've been playing something a little bit different here, Jordan. And I'll take that. It's better than losing with traditional goats, that's for sure. But Order does seem to have found their momentum. And I think, to me, a lot of that comes down to the choice to attack the first checkpoint there the last time around.
Maybe a case of Legacy not being too comfortable here on Havana either. Doesn't seem like they've got their fundamentals set too well. Rani almost gets hacked.
Close, but no cigar in this scenario. Here we go. A lot being thrown into this one by Legacy, but it's Quats and the Earth Shatter that will knock down the Legacy Esports players and allow the payload to get moving once again, ever closer to the final objective here on Havana.
Yeah, Legacy have not won a single fight so far on Havana. I mean, there's, I guess you could say, only 2.5 minutes available for Order still left, so it's not like it's been like a hugely blistering time. The fights have kind of lasted for a little while, but Legacy are just not getting any success at all.
Noosh ready for a bit of amazing play. The Blizzard is available. We'll see how this one plays out. Obviously quite difficult also to get through this final chokehold, particularly if we see the Mei wall come on out. There we go, but the team manages to get just over the top. The Blizzard is thrown. Sign goes down to Rani. Needs to follow up there onto Yuki. How many right clicks do we need? Looks like 3.
Rally.
Yeah. So, Legacy eventually holds strong. Still 2 minutes on the clock. Order forced to fall back. But this is the point where it should be easiest for Legacy Esports to stem the tide.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to get an EMP up shortly for Order, and those have traditionally resulted in a pretty straightforward fight win for them. Stolen's going to obviously be quite imperative, waiting for his sound barrier to become available and ensuring that he doesn't get hit by the EMP so that he can keep his team alive through it. Unless Legacy decides to play offensively here, which it doesn't really seem like they're going to do, and their momentum certainly isn't with them. At a minute 26, you know, 1 or 2 fights here for Legacy, and they actually hold.
This could be a big grab. You can see everything being used on Fundray here to keep him alive. The Nano Boost came out, the personal shield came out as well. Unfortunately for Order, does not play out how they wanted it to, but this EMP might work. 3 over the top. Fundray saved by Stolen Picnic, and a huge beat drop.
Yeah, the EMP, I think, was more of an attempt to salvage that fight for Order than anything else. And unfortunately, once the grab goes down and connects onto most of the Legacy members, on most of the Order members, sorry, if Legacy's already in the position to do the damage, then, you know, the EMP's not going to make a difference if it's 4v6. And that's exactly what happened. Stolen Picnic did use Sound Barrier there as well. So a fair bit invested by Legacy, but I can kind of give them the benefit of the doubt for that. They really need to be winning these fights, and finally they've been able to win a couple in a row. I can understand investing a lot. Yeah. Does mean, though, that 30 seconds left into this one. Last fight now for Order. There's not much here. Hunter almost gets caught, survives, though.
Sign will go down to Ike, however, and that's an absolutely massive pick. Rani comes into the back line as well, finds the healer. Jordation is down. Meteor Strike now available. Sign going to now swap across. You can see that Order is trying to make some changes to get back into this one. I don't know if they're going to be able to even get back in time.
Well, Legacy, finally, they staunched the flow, and in fact, they've managed to, it feels like, revive themselves here on Havana. It was dead in the water for them for such a long time. Order was winning every single fight up until basically point C, right here. And then we see Legacy win a few fights in a row. Is it still winnable for Order, I wonder? With that pick from Jordation onto Noosh, does that raise some eyebrows? Well, Graviton Surge down probably means the end of Hunter. Surely the end of the round here as well.
Adam throws out one of his own, captures a few, but all it really does is succeed in holding the Legacy Esports players on the payload. Order starting to make their way back. Stolen Picnic drops the beat. Fundray has used an Earth Shatter also, but it does not matter. You can see in the end, Legacy Esports too strong right at the end. To be fair, as we said, this is the point where if you're going to hold anywhere, this is the easiest point to hold.
See, I don't know. We haven't seen enough Havana in the competitive environment to be like, okay, that's a good hold, or that's a pretty good push from Order. Like, if you were to say on Rialto, get that close to point C, you'd probably be pretty happy with that as the attacker, because a lot of the time we don't even see it go past point A. Certainly a lot of the time we don't see it go past point B. So I don't know. Is that enough for Legacy? Is that enough for Order? Maybe, maybe not. I can't really give an informed opinion just yet.
Look, Jordan, all I'm going to say is that they have left the door open.
That's right.
Just a tad. Just enough. Can Legacy Esports make their way through? That is the real question.
That's it. It's up to Legacy now to really decide where we go with the rest of this series. If we go for a 2-2, that is going to be bit of a disaster for Order. Not the end of the world, assuming they still win the series. If they lose the series from here, then, I mean, that's fantastic for Legacy, because that's just one step closer to playoffs. And that, I mean, almost might be the end of the season for Order. Like, I don't want to say it there, but, you know, if you've lost to Atletico, and then in this world you've lost to Legacy as well, you still have to face Warriors. That's potentially another series that you could lose. Mind Freak's been looking okay. I mean, if you can't beat Legacy, I don't know that you can beat Mind Freak. Although we are getting a bit ahead of ourselves here.
And if you can't beat Mind Freak, who can you beat? And then you're done, you're out.
You could probably beat
Actually,
Melbourne
to be fair,
I
don't know how Mind Freak's been going this season. So
They've been doing okay.
So, anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves at all. We'll see what Legacy can do here on attack. Order coming out nice and strong. They want to make a statement, Elfishguy, that says Actually, we did pretty well on Havana, and getting all the way to the end is just hard.
I don't think that is going to be too far from the truth, honestly. But again, this is sort of the same setup as Legacy ran on Temple of Anubis. We're just looking for those picks. If one player goes down here for order, then the rest are going to follow quite quickly. And because of the fact that there's so many different sort of damage threats on Legacy, it's quite difficult to keep track of all of them.
Yep.
Fundray finally finds Jordation, so that's the one that they need. Remember, 1-for-1 trades, very favourable for Legacy at this point, given their position so close to spawn.
Rani going to get hacked out there as well. Going to drop down to the ground for now, stays alive. And with Quats, Signed, and Yuki, now Anta all down, Legacy Esports will get onto the payload and start making their way towards checkpoint A.
It's about the same time, I think, that it took Order to to sort of break that initial hold. This second one's going to be where the difficulty does arise, particularly because Signed is 90% of the EMP. Noosh has his already, though, so there is the world that Legacy can actually engage this fight and complete it before Order is able to get their EMP out. Who gets there first remains to be seen.
Well, EMP is used, hits Quats, and Adam and
Ike
follows up. Great work, finds two. Does get cleaned up there by Yuki, but it's only a matter of time for the rest of Order should follow suit. And Legacy Esports now doing a pretty good job. The payload moving forward, ever closer to this first checkpoint here on Havana, and they will have a ton of time.
There may be a recontest with the EMP from Signed here.
There we go. The beaters drop the EMP available, but Fundray will use that supercharger, and Rani sitting up here as well. Yeah, Signed going to go down to Ike. Ike actually not having a bad game at all here on the Tracer. I don't remember the last time we saw a Tracer used successfully in Overwatch Contenders, but today has definitely been one of those days.
This is where we're going to see Legacy have to swap off, though. The Pharah Mercy definitely not going to be useful into Phase B. I'm glad to see it's going to be, again, the Doomfist, the Mei out for Noosh, as opposed to going straight into the 3-3. But I think this is where it's going to get difficult for Legacy, because Goats is going to have much more of an impact in these kind of enclosed environments. It's going to be more difficult for Legacy to dance around it, and they're going to start off on the back foot because they have to go up against an EMP initial fight. 5 ultimates here.
Nice little EMP will hit 2, including Stolen Picnic Lab, though manages to stay out of that one and use the Transcendence to keep the team up. Quats follows up, though, with a Shatter, and you'll see Legacy falling down. That's the difference, of course, Elfishguy, between contesting like Legacy Esports did the first time around, which allowed Order, when they were on attack, to get a much more forward position. Yeah,
definitely, and this also means that Order can really establish themselves into point B. They can sort of set up, defensively speaking, where they really want to, which Legacy didn't really have much of an opportunity to do, and Legacy didn't build much of a ultimates that last fight either, so this is really going to be a struggle for Legacy.
Graviton Surge going to come out there from Adam. Noosh goes down, Rani follows suit, and Fundray going to go down now also. Order doing pretty well here, wasting a lot of time for Legacy, and these are a crucial seconds, Elfishguy, because if Legacy Esports do manage to make their way all the way through towards the end of the map, we just saw how difficult it was to get through that final arch.
I don't know if they're even going to get to that point. I don't see actually a world that Legacy gets through point B at this point, particularly, again, when Sign is being able to charge these EMPs. Legacy have had 2 fights, and now they're only just starting to come up on ultimates themselves. Sign is going to cancel this one with an EMP.
Yep. Oh, Stolen
Picnic, that's a nice wall.
Does manage to evade as well, drops the beat. Noosh with the Blizzard. Can Legacy Esports turn this one around? Anta drops the defensive ultimate of his own, hits everyone, it looks like it, on the tide for Order, and Rani somehow manages to get back into the swing of the things as that nade does eventually subside, but the payload is pushing through. Order going to get forced here off the high ground as well. They're going to try and contest this. You can see that Legacy are getting pushed a long way back.
Very nice grab, and Klotz is going to go down as a result. Great work from Ike. And finally, it looks like the hold is going to be broken here by Legacy. It took them a lot of ultimates invested into it, but finally the reward is there for them. Still going to have to deal with another fight, I think.
Yeah, great work. You could see Legacy Esports getting pushed back towards the start of the second phase here on Havana, but they managed to play it smartly. They bided their time Did get through in the end. However, Order will get another fight. It's not one yet.
Adam's got Graviton Surge, but again, there's any number of issues that could occur here for Order in this. That's not one of them.
That's not going to work for Legacy Esports at all. Jordation. Oh my goodness, the turnaround is real.
Good punch here and the fight's over.
Yeah, quite surprising to be perfectly honest. Signed comes through with the EMP. And it will
just
be
can't get
enough.
anything done.
Yeah.
That is so unfortunate, man, because it was looking good for Legacy to turn that one around if they would have picked off one of the next players. At the very least, they do save Shatter. They do save Meteor Strike. I don't really feel like Meteor Strike's going to be too useful at this point, especially without the Graviton Surge. Maybe a combo with the Shatter or the Blizzard will be able to get one player if Jordation's caught in it or something like that, or Anta. We're really running out of time, though, for Legacy. It's a do-or-die situation for them now.
Yuki uses the only ultimate available for Order. Surely Legacy has enough to make their way through. Yuki is down. The wall comes up at the wrong time. That is not what you want to see from your mate at all. Anta stays alive for long enough to drop the beat. Everyone now has shields. And Legacy Esports have thrown everything into this fight. The payload is pushing through. They found Side and Quads, and now Jordation eventually. They should be able to move through this checkpoint, Elfishguy. They'll get more time on the clock. The question is, will it be enough?
Jesus. Noosh's heart would have been in his throat at that point. You'd be thinking, oh, I've just thrown this fight. I thought he'd thrown the fight. Thought that was over, but Legacy do manage to stabilize. They get on through. A minute and 19, though, to get to what Order was able to, just up in front of point C. It's a difficult task for Legacy. They're going to have to pretty much win it out straight. Losing one fight, okay, that's reasonable if they lose probably this fight. But after that, they're not going to have any second chances. And Sign with the EMP, does he save it until the times really run down?
Yeah, until it's into overtime. That's the real question, to be perfectly honest. Well, Adam going to throw out a grab, as does Ike. Actually, Rani comes through. They find 3 huge plays coming out from Legacy Esports.
You're really starting to feel it right now for Legacy, but they need to be aware of this EMP. Signed has actually saved it through, and now we're at a situation where if Legacy loses the fight, they wipe, they're gone. There's no second chance. If he throws it in there, even if Order wins that fight, Legacy still has another second attempt, but now we're at do or die. Last chance territory now for Legacy, and the worst ultimate you could be going up against is as an EMP.
There's almost nothing that Legacy Esports can do here to stop Sign with this EMP. There is no real angle to deal with this.
Well, stolen with the sound barrier. If Noosh gets a Blizzard on the cart before the EMP goes off, there's a world that this does go the way of Legacy.
The Blizzard comes through, the EMP is used, hits 3, does not hit Stolen Picnic, who manages to hold.
Oh, Noosh got collected.
Afterwards, Noosh goes down, Rani's gone down,
EMP
Stolen Picnic manages to get rid of Quads as well. Big plays coming out right now from Legacy Esports. Can they push their way through? 3 meters remains. They're going to be swapping out. That's Order. Quats back onto the wrecking ball. Of course, they've got that spawn advantage. Yuki down to Ike. Sign goes down as well. The payload. We're into overtime. It's not moving. Order one by one going to be filing their way onto the point. How long can they hold out for?
I think Legacy have got this, to be honest. Fundray at full HP. Adam now dead. Jordation down as well. And Legacy have the numbers. We're going to a tiebreaker. Nepal.
Wow.
And Legacy have pushed it through to 5. I can't believe it. I mean, I thought that was Orders. As soon as Fundray's Shatter got cancelled, I said EMP cancelled, I meant Shatter cancelled. I was like, Yuki, he saves the game here for Order, but they've just managed to push it on through Legacy. This is a fantastic result for them, regardless of whether they win or lose this series, and a pretty scary one for Order.
What a world, Elfishguy. What a crazy world. Look, the people vote for Sandman to be back on the desk, a.k.a. Smash has the flu and I'm filling in. And I bring you the good games, boys and girls, I promise.
Yeah.
Every time. And, well, a tiebreaker. Is this the first one of the season?
It is the first one of the season. First one in a while. I can't remember the last time.
It has been a while, actually.
Did we?
It has been a while.
I've won it all last season. I think, yeah, the Blank and Legacy game. Anyway, that is pretty interesting, but I'm still not really confident that Legacy can win this one. We go to Nepal. Control was... Look, Order won at 2-0. I say it was fairly close in terms of the individual rounds, but end of the day, it was 2-0. And they didn't really get much on the board there, Legacy. So I'm interested to see what we're going to get on Nepal. I mean, there are obviously avenues for different kind of compositions. We've seen Bunker, we've seen the DPS compositions.
Could see the Farah come out a little bit on Nepal as well.
Yep, definitely.
So maybe Rani going to be coming through strong there. We'll have to wait and see. So we see a great rocket barrage. So often I hate on Aussie Contenders players and their use of rocket barrage, Jordan, as we take a look at... Oh man, that wall. Anyway, but that was not one of those situations for sure. Look at this charge. Ready? Oh! Ooh. Well, that was embarrassing.
Yeah, because that would have 100% been the end of Quats. Anyway, they do manage to keep it alive, Legacy, so anything can be forgiven, I suppose.
Yes.
Well, how do we go on to Nepal? I mean, what's the ideal scenario for Legacy here? Like
a 2-0 on Nepal, and they pick up a victory.
But I'm trying to think of like what order of the rounds do they want? Like, do they want Village first? Because that's kind of going to open things up a little bit more for the DPS kind of route, the Doomfist, the Sombra, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. Are we going to see a bit of Sanctum? Are we going to see how the Orisa plays out?
I think Village Sanctum is probably what they want.
It's this is quite surprising, and this is again one of those situations, right, where we talked about at the start of the show, where felt like in these pressure situations, and we saw that in Busan, where Order, it was down to the wire, but Order managed to come out on top. But the longer that today has gone, I feel like maybe a little bit of what's happened this week, perhaps combined with a little bit of what happened last week, and yeah, maybe Order's just losing a little bit of their mojo here. It's not. Yeah. It's not
working.
It's
not
good,
meshing. It's
right?
just not meshing.
Yeah.
Which is really difficult to believe because they were far and away the best team last season. And in the space of, like a couple of months, it's really just felt like it's totally disappeared for Order, that mojo.
It's odd, right? Because normally you feel like teams head overseas, they play internationally, you almost level up.
That may be part of it because they didn't really get anything done overseas, and that's caused maybe some friction or whatever it may be. I don't know, but okay. We still don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Legacy onto Control. They did lose Busan, so there's something to be said there for Order. But if Legacy wins this series, I mean, that's going to be huge, monumental, because 2 weeks in a row, Order would have lost to a quote-unquote weaker team. And I don't know that it's fair to necessarily lump Atletico in that area anymore because, I mean, they won last week, 3-1 against Order, for God's sake. But, you know what I mean? Like, they're not teams that you expect to be able to beat Order, and yet here we have potentially 2 in a row.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, John, but I've packed my bags, I've topped up my Opal, I've tapped on, I'm standing at the platform, and the Legacy hype train is just about to arrive at the station. So, look, the question is, am I going to be able to get a seat, or is it going to be full?
Well, I'm not really in a position to answer that. I'm not the ticket collector. I'm not the train guard.
You're not the guys walking around with the cops behind them like, got an Opal, got an Opal.
Got an Opal, yeah.
Got an Opal. Anyway.
Look, I want to be able to get a ticket on that train, Ben.
Yeah, you're ready?
That's my answer. I want to have that ticket.
Would this be a crazy season, right? The start of week 3, and Legacy has already defeated the top team in the region.
Are they the top team in the region?
Atletico. Well, theoretically, yes.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Well, we've got Village to start, at least based on the cinematics. So, I think that's good news for Legacy. Bad news if they lose it, obviously.
Well, yes.
But I think this is one of their better chances to actually win because it allows this kind of a composition that they've kept on running.
Going to come out again, Order with their Sombra Goats up against Legacy Esports with May. And the Doomfist running going to be the first one down. Yuki traded back.
Great work.
Finds Quat as well.
I mean, that's exactly how you recover from losing the first player. We saw Quat so low. I thought he was the one that was going to get traded. But in fact, actually, Legacy gets 2 and then a third onto Unther as well. It is not a good start at all for Order, and this is perfect for Legacy. This is exactly what you wanted.
Wow. What a big start coming out here for Legacy Esports. Even after losing their DPS, they follow up. Do what they need to do here.
You maybe would have wanted a bit more charge on Ike, I guess, as far as the Graviton Surge is concerned, but this is about as good as it's going to get for for Legacy, especially because like Sinder's only got 30% of his EMP, so...
This May Walk definitely going to make life tough. Rani getting to the thick of things, trying to knock them up against it. Signed and Yuki both now down.
This is perfect for Legacy as well, because once you have that point as May, it becomes so...
Yes.
Like, difficult, so
Oh, Adam going to get staggered, as is Jordation. And wow, yes, exactly right. It's harder to get onto the point, but once you're there...
It's like you're versing a Mei. So even, yeah, it's difficult to get onto the point. And then when you're on the point, it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to put a Blizzard or I'm going to put a wall, and that's going to cut your team in half.
Plus on snow maps, you know, Mei does 10% more damage.
That's true. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll pay that.
We here to go. It's not true, by the way.
Glacial buff.
Actually trying to... Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Anyway, on to the point, and Noosh and Ike going to combine with their ultis. Hopefully, for Legacy's sake, this is all they throw into this fight, as they do manage to clean them up once more. Signed, the only one managing to translocate out of dodge. The EMP is going to be up. Earthshatter available. Jordation going to have an ulti. Onta going to be pretty close as well. They're almost going to have a 6-stack here for Order coming through. Can they turn this around?
No. I'm actually going to say no.
Wow!
No. I mean, 82%. Order is set up perfectly. As long as the EMP doesn't get stolen, they should survive through the fight. Rani's got the nano boost on him, finds the initial pick. What could be better?
Jordation's gone down.
Huge shatter.
And the EMP with a big shatter, as you said. The beat dropped by Stolen. Picnic cannot manage to keep the tank up. However, Adam comes through with a Graviton Surge. And Order, nice there we go, 99%. They manage to swing this back into their favor. They're on the point, but now Legacy only need to win one fight.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? So Order have managed to turn it around in the sense that they have at least capped the point, but can they turn this entire thing around? 99-0. Chances are no. I mean, typically when you see it go 99-0, then the team that started off with the 99 does find a way back in because they've got so much time to build ultimates, so many opportunities. That's, again, a nice wall. Quats is not going to die as a result.
Rani's going to be the first one down. Quats does have this shatter available, getting forced back, being kept alive by the team. They need to be very, very careful here not to lose the main tank. Fundray, though, is going to go down as Quats is slept, but Legacy forced to fall back to the spawn.
Here's what I'm thinking, Ben.
All right.
Order are going to use the EMP next fight. Sign's going to throw that in. They're going to win it.
Yeah.
But Legacy are going to be able to build the Grav and the Blizzard.
Yep.
And then next fight, Legacy literally just runs to the point,
yep.
Grav Blizzard on the point,
yep.
and they can't lose. It's impossible.
Elfishguy, and if they do lose, you buy me a triple quarter pounder. And there we go, the big EMP, that's what we spoke about. It hits absolutely everyone. And actually quite good, to be honest, there for Legacy, because they're not even baited into using any of their ultimates. Yep. They can't. No room for error there.
This is where things may change for Legacy. Traditionally, they've been pushing the high ground. They've been going up there every single push. Now that they have got the Graviton Surge and the Blizzard, I'm expecting them to go low ground, straight onto the point, which is going to bait Order into there, and then you drop the Grav, you drop the Blizzard, and that's an almost unlosable team fight unless someone gets picked off early. But this is going okay for Legacy so far. Grav invested early.
It will come out. Both teams using Grav as is the Blizzard, but I can lab both down. The beat dropped by Stolen. Picnic Rani's actually managed to find two onto the point as well. Order getting forced back here. Yuki not being able to get onto the point. Nice shatter comes out from Fundray. He does go down to Adam. Can they follow up with the picks, or are they forced off the point? We are in overtime. This one looking like it might go to Order.
Yeah. Well, as I said, could have been a good team fight for Legacy, and it almost looked like it was. I was a little bit surprised to see them invest the Graviton Surge and the Blizzard there. I think they had time to actually wipe and go for another fight, which is really what I expected them to do. As soon as the Grav was thrown in from Adam, I was like, okay, let's just reset here.
Yeah. Well, it didn't happen.
But it didn't happen.
You owe me a triple cheeseburger.
I don't know about that.
Thanks. I'll take that next week.
Well, that was one of the big win conditions for Legacy. I felt like getting a win on Village. But now, the second opportunity, and I suppose if you lose here, you lose, but these were the 2 points that I thought Legacy actually had a better chance on. So this will be where you're going to be more likely to see sort of like a bunker setup from Legacy. They've already got Fundray over onto the Orisa, so it seems likely. Now we're seeing Icon to Lucio. That's probably just to get everyone out the gates a bit quicker. Maybe he goes over onto, like, I don't know, Tracer here at this point. I feel like has been his strong suit.
Yes. I am ready. My body is ready, Elfishguy.
Yeah, I mean, this makes sense, right? Doesn't it? So, we've got a couple of big threats there. The Mei and the Torbjorn with this composition. Going to be a big problem for Order.
I'm ready to see how this plays out. That is for sure. Let's see what I can do on the Torbjorn. Don't see many of those these days, but now a little bit more likely each and every day. As team comps do change, we can get this variation of that bunker composition onto the objective. That's what Legacy Esports will be looking for. Quats, though, trying to make life difficult. That's the start now that Order wanted, with Noosh going down.
Yeah. That's definitely not how you want things to be going as Order, as Legacy. If you can sort of charge this composition up, that's where it gets a little bit difficult for Order to deal with. But Legacy, you're never really being able to find their positioning on the point there. They're not able to kind of get that damage threat out of the turret, or at least that kind of distraction threat at the very least. And no real ult charge built up for Legacy either, so Molten Core is not really a factor just yet. Blizzard's not really a factor just yet. 4 to 2-0s here on Nepal. It would be a little disappointing for Legacy, even despite the good work that they've done this season. It's a good wall, but it hasn't really eventuated into anything.
Yeah, grab available, gets thrown out, captures out the majority of Legacy Esports as well. Quat's going to hold down left click. You can see as well there that the Primal Rage is available as the last of Legacy Esports will go down. Now, Order going to be up to 50%. They've got the ultimates in their favor as well. Yes, Legacy is starting to catch up, but it's taken them quite a bit of time. And,
hey, look, if Order can turn it around from 99 to 0 on Village, maybe Legacy can do something similar here.
Maybe. Unlikely.
Don't disagree. Quats with Primal Rage is going to really get shut down by all the CC. Stolen Mike off the edge.
Look, it's a lot of time used up, though, isn't it? Let's be real. Order, though,
2 for 1.
will get caught out as they sort of, overextend perhaps Elfishguy, and this will gift Legacy Esports an opportunity to get this variation of the bunker comp here onto the objective.
Well, that's what the mission number 1 was. But
they did it.
Got quite a few more missions here for Legacy, and one of them is definitely not Stolen, dying to Jordation. Oh, he's going to get the health kit? No, he was bionated for just a little bit too long.
But Jordation will go down.
Yeah, so a 1-for-1 trade there.
Not bad at all. Rani onto the point, trying to cause a bit of a ruckus.
The cap came back across to Order.
Yes.
And Fundraise off the edge.
That is everything going astray here for Legacy Esports. This is not what they wanted to see at all. Ike going to use his ultimate and cover the objective.
Labs just being an absolute damage machine right now. I thought that was over actually, because Noosh, he just came out of the ice block as the self-destruct pop.
BL.
But he did actually buy enough time, I suppose, for his teammates to set themselves. Oh, the Jordation actually popped off on Trace on the Zenyatta here.
He did indeed.
He's got Stolen there after that as well.
I guess he's had enough time now to get used to aim support. Elfishguy should be good at it by now. And he certainly is. Oh, Quats! Pops the Primal Rage to get back onto the point, but Fundray has managed to find Adam as well.
World's longest pile driver.
Yeah. Transcendence going to be used by Jordation, and they will manage to bring it across now at 99%. Quats goes down to Rani. The wall comes out, and they've thrown a lot into it. Then they find themselves 1% Elfishguy.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, every time Legacy's had control of this point, Order have been able to get it back before Legacy have really been able to mount a good, solid defense. This time, Legacy's actually going to have to hold on the point. Fundraise on the hamster. I mean, it's kind of not really ideal for Legacy here. It's going to be very difficult to hold, especially without Molten Core, without Blizzard. How do you force Order away from the point? Unless you're finding picks right now with Fundray, like we saw at the start of that fight, obviously getting the boop off. Rani maybe finding someone in the backlines, Unthraw, Jordation. I suppose Jordation would be the prime target here before he gets Transcendence up. But this is, I think, actually looking pretty good for Order. Assuming they can actually make this fight last for 10 or 15 seconds, where they can get those 2 support ultimates up, they can get self-destruct up.
Yep.
It's going to come down to picks from Legacy.
There's no Primal Rage, there's no EMP. As you said, quite a lot now for Legacy here to work with. We'll see if it's enough.
Minefield is there,
yes,
so that can keep them off the point.
This can definitely make life tough. Oh my goodness, and Quats balls off the edge of the earth. The beat is dropped. Jordation has the Transcendence as well. Adam gets healed up there by that one. We'll see if it's enough. Self-destruct comes through, won't find anyone. Quat swaps across to the Wrecking Ball. Can Legacy Esports hold on to the payload, the Blizzard? No, I don't know what I'm hearing. There's no Blizzard. Just hearing things.
There's still quite a lot of Legacy players available. Fundraise really low, needs those heals. He's stuck on the wall. They've actually got it. They've capped it.
That is, I
got off
don't
the
even
point.
know. Legacy manages to swing it through, and we are now at 1 apiece. I'd want to go back and see a replay of that, potentially, how everyone managed
to get off the point.
To not be where they needed to be. You only needed to be in one spot, and it's quite a big spot.
Well,
it all comes down to this Elfishguy. Who would have thunk it? Here's
Yeah.
the replay. We head into overtime.
Well, that was Potts jumping off the edge.
that was that one. That was...
that was like, I mean, I almost...
How?
Was there anything there, or was that literally just him jumping off the edge? Because I'm pretty sure that was just him jumping off the edge.
Yeah, the pressure, a little bit too much. I don't even know.
Anyway, this was the point where I thought, okay, this actually could be a little more problematic for Legacy. Order with the 3-3 more so, it favors them a bit more here. But Legacy, I mean, you can still, I think, make the Doomfist and May work.
This is it, Elfishguy. 1 round remains here to see who comes out on top between Legacy Esports and Order. Fundray, the first one down. Rani looking for a quick counter pick, not to be Stolen Picnic. Going to be the next one to go. Will allow Order to capture the point. We'll see what Legacy can do. But surely Order, they cannot afford to let this go away. They cannot afford to lose to Legacy today.
Well, even if they win from here, Ben, it's way too close for comfort, and the other top teams are going to be licking their lips saying, Order's not looking good. The Translocator's broken.
I'd say it's destroyed, annihilated. See you later.
I'm not going to catch Stein off it, and Rani's messed up a little bit. Wall attempt here from Noosh. Does kind of cut them off.
Yeah, not bad, but not enough perhaps.
Yeah, not really enough.
Now up to 30%. Legacy going to be looking for a pick. They're doing a bit of work, but they're not getting the kills. There we go. Yuki goes down just as the grab comes out from Adam. And, well, that graviton will be enough to clean up Legacy Esports. Going to have to regroup. Quat sitting on an Earthshatter sign, sitting on that EMP. Hunter ever closer to a sound barrier as well. For Legacy, you'll have Fundray, you'll have Noosh, you'll have Ike, you'll have Rani, and you'll have Stolen Picnic. So they're going to have 5 coming into this next fight.
EMP is the most important one, really. Especially when you're going up against a number of ultimates like that. If Sign gets a good one off here, it's just another fight win for Order, and then we're looking at, again, a 99-0 for Legacy to deal with, and I just don't see them coming back on this point in particular. But we'll see what they can do. EMP's
Ooh, it hits
pretty
everyone.
good, but the wall's good as well.
Yeah, not a bad wall. Hits everyone other than Ike. They need to follow up, though. That's Legacy Esports with a little bit more damage, perhaps. Not to be. What's sitting on this Shatter? Fundray finds his. They'll now try and engage. The beat is dropped. The Shatter comes through. Hits Jordation and Hunter. Both the support plays, but it's Legacy who's caught out. 3 players hit there. Lab goes down. Noosh drops the Blizzard as well. We'll see whether they can follow it up with any sort of damage. They've lost Lab, they've lost Rani, they've lost Stolen.
It's over, Ben.
This is going to be a 100-0 for Order. And they've taken absolutely as long as humanly possible. But Order will manage to take down Legacy Esports and do it in the tiebreaker here today. So congratulations to Order for picking up the victory.
Yeah.
But certainly, some would suggest not in the way that perhaps they were looking to come out on top today.
I mean, that's a little bit heartbreaking for Legacy. You know, I think they're going to go back to Village. They're going to look at that and say, why couldn't we manage to get that Grav Blizzard combo working? That final fight, that Grav Blizzard combo could have been it. It could have been 2-0 there on Nepal. Admittedly, Cots did jump off on Sanctum, so I was like,
yeah, that's true. It's a 1-for-1.
Yeah, you kind of gotta give a little bit, take a little bit.
It's like when the soccer player gets injured, right, and the other team kicks the ball out, and then you give the ball back and you kick it out yourself. I don't know, not really.
Yeah.
Anyway, this could have been it, right? This could have been the point, though. Let's be clear. I don't know whether if Legacy Esports had picked up the first round, whether Order necessarily would have given up the second round so easily. This was the turning point for me here on Sanctum as well.
Yeah.
Quats went a long way out, but it was actually the guys from Legacy Esports who managed to come through that allowed them to get onto the objective. They allowed them to try and get that bunker comp up and running. To be fair, it never really felt like the bunker comp ever actually started. They got there, but they didn't do much with it.
No, because by the time Legacy actually kind of got established on the point, they actually had the Wrecking Ball the whole time. Fundray was playing that when they were actually holding off here, so probably not wrong. It turned into a bit more like a a dive kind of half bunker, half dive, weird kind of composition, which ended up working out, strangely enough. But anyway, it's totally beside the point. I guess I think, you know, you kind of have to take that as what it is. You have to be really pretty impressed with what Legacy's been able to do today in taking 2 maps off of Order, and it certainly continues to raise questions for what is going to become of Order in the future. You know, we've still not yet seen a good series out from them, even despite the fact that they're 2-1. Nothing has been
These are supposed to be
solid.
their givens, right?
Yeah.
These matches are supposed to be the ones where you come out with hopefully for them, with the 4 maps, because you need those maps heading into the end of the season. And now, well, it's going to be a tough season for sure for Order.
Yeah, definitely. At the very least, this kind of keeps them in the discussion. If they did drop today to Legacy, then you almost consider like the season may well have been almost over from them, or at the very least, they'd have to be running through like the low stages of the playoffs, maybe 4th, 5th, or 6th sort of position.
Yeah.
Regardless, I suppose they're still in a position if they turn this season around. You know, Week 3 is done. They're up 2-1. You've only lost 1 series technically, so if you win the rest, you're probably still doing all right. 6-1, it's not a big issue. But when you consider there's teams like Warriors still ahead of them, Mindfreak, Ground Zero, you know, these are no pushover teams.
Absolutely.
There's maybe a world in which we still have to raise some questions for Order.
For Legacy Esports, unfortunately, this far into the season, they haven't managed to pick up a win. However, they played the 3 toughest teams, I would suggest. Yep. The Sydney Drop Bears, the Warriors, and now, of course, Order. And to be fair, to get a map off, at least one map off all of them, and then to take this one to a tiebreaker, I have to say, considering who they had to play, this is a pretty good start to the season for Legacy.
It's literally the same as last season for Legacy. They started off so well, getting maps off the top teams, being able to really keep it competitive.
Yep.
And then when they came to that one series that they actually had to win it, sure, they beat Atletico. Okay, they were pretty much pushovers last season. When they had to face Mindfreak last season, if they won that series, they were in playoffs, couldn't win it. So, sure, it's all good for Legacy right now. They're doing great work.
This is how you start against that. These are the results you want against the hard team.
But Ground Zero, Mindfreak, Atletico, they're all still kind of waiting here for Legacy. You need to be getting a match win against 2 of those teams. Otherwise, the series points here, the maps, they're not going to make a difference.
Exactly. The wins come first, boys and girls, and that's, of course, what we're looking for. So, Legacy, when we get to the scoreboard later today, they're not going to be looking too good, but maybe there's something they can bring this back from. It's certainly, you got to play these teams at some point, right?
That's
Just for these guys, they had to face them at the start of the season, but there's still hope there.
Yeah, it's like running on sand, right? You need to practice in the hard, difficult terrain, and then once you're running on the concrete, you feel like you're flying.
Well, Elfishguy, the bit about the whole thing that I've missed the most, it is time for another Macca's play of the game. A McDonald's Australia play of the game. It was Order up against Legacy Esports. We're looking at Rani. Talk us through this barrage. It's a cue, really, isn't it?
It really is a cue, yeah. That was obviously a nicely executed one. There wasn't really a whole lot that Order could do about it, like Signed doesn't have EMP because he's dead. Adam's obviously not playing Diva, so there's no one to kind of put the umbrella up. Pretty straightforward from him, but a good way to push straight through into Phase B of the map with quite a bit of like emphasis, oomph, you know, power.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as soon as they got into Point B, they were really just like knocked over straight away. And